I said, honey, what's the matter? And he just leaned back on the couch that was next to the chair and he picked his foot up, and his toe had been cut off by the mechanism of the chair and it was hanging by just a little sliver of skin. Salutations and welcome back to the farm here in my country kitchen in my 1902 farmhouse. I'm glad you're here with me today. I have something very important to share with you because this is something that has affected my life personally, and I want you to benefit from my misfortune and really being unprepared. This is about being prepared. It's soup season, it's chili season, and we find ourselves sometimes making a little bit too much. You can pop it in the fridge and eat chili for 4 days, or you can put some of your chili or your soups in a freezer bag or in a container and pop it in the freezer. Or you can use your Nesco electric pressure canner to go ahead and can those leftovers. But let's say that you only have 3 jars to put in your canner and you need a 4th jar. Now, many of you are familiar with canning water, so you have an emergency supply of water on your shelves. But I'm going to show you something a little different today. And like I said, it's from a personal experience, and I wish I would have known about this years ago. Back when I was a busy, frazzled mama raising 4 babies at home, I had a brand new little baby newborn. He was maybe 3 months old, and my 2 older boys were school, and my little 3-year-old was home with me, and I had taken on the task of watching 2 or 3 other children that day in my home. I had sat down in my husband's recliner and I had the baby in my lap and I was getting ready to nurse the baby. And that was something that I love to share with my 3-year-old because this was his baby and he was always involved in every aspect of the care of that baby. So he would always climb up in my lap and we would have that special time together. Well, as I settled in to nurse my baby, my little 3-year-old was climbing up just as I reached down to pull the lever to open the chair. And when the chair opened, he jumped and he just looked at me with this shocked look on his face. I said, honey, what's the matter? And he just leaned back on the couch that was next to the chair and he picked his foot up, and his toe had been cut off by the mechanism of the chair and it was hanging by just a little sliver of skin. He was in shock. I went in instant shock. I could not believe that had just happened. To this day, we still really fully don't understand how it happened. His foot fell into the mechanism as he was climbing up and I opened that chair. We all know to look when you close the chair. I didn't even think about opening the chair. I jumped up, dropped the baby to the floor, and I immediately called 911 because I didn't know what to do. You think you know what to do in an emergency situation, but your mind just kind of goes on freeze framing and you can't think of what to do. But I called 911 and I was crying and I was frantic and I said, this just happened. My son got his toe cut off. The 911 operator said, calm down. I want you to get a clean washcloth and gather the toe, put it back up onto the stub where it had been cut off of his foot and wrap it. Get it a little bit wet so it's damp and cool and wrap it because we want it to maintain that moisture. I ran looking for a washcloth. Again, I've got 4 kids. I'm frazzled. I'm a new mom. I'm behind on laundry. I couldn't find a clean washcloth to save my life. They were all in the laundry. I grabbed the cleanest one out of the laundry. I rinsed it out as well as I could in the hot water, picked up his toe, put it back on his foot, and wrapped it. The ambulance came, took us to the hospital, and they were able to successfully wrap his toe. However, because I used a rag that had been in the laundry, Lord only knows what bacteria was introduced to that open wound. We had to watch him for a long time to look for bone infection because it did cut all the way through the bone, and I wrapped it in that dirty cloth. And this is where we're going to come to what I'm going to share with you today. When we are doing our canning and we don't have enough jars to fill the canner, we've always been told, throw an extra jar of water in there. It takes up the space, it keeps your jars from falling over, and then you have clean, sterile water on your shelf when you need it for backup drinking water, water for your animals, waters for emergencies, whatever. But what if you have to grab that water off the shelf and then find a clean rag? I have the solution for you here today. Before we get started, if this is something that interests you, make sure you click the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends, whether they have little children, anybody in the home. This is good for all ages if there's any type of an accident and you need something for first aid. So I've got my canner here. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open this up. I have 3 jars of chili that I have loaded up into my quart-size jars. And these are going to go in my pressure canner. Now, if you don't have a Nesco pressure canner, I'll put a link in my Amazon store below so you can have access. This is a dream, and I think they're actually on sale right now. This is set it and forget it. It is wonderful. So here I have a clean, sterilized quart-sized jar. I'm going to add something to this that you may not be anticipating. The last time I went to the store, I bought myself a pack of pure white washcloths. I ran them through the wash real quick. Now this one still has a tag on it. I'm going to take the tag off of it. I didn't use a lot of detergent. I didn't use fabric softener sheets because you don't have to worry about static cleaning or anything with these. And I've since folded them. That's why they have a crease. But what you're going to do is you're going to take a clean washcloth that you can use for medical emergencies. I fold mine in thirds, and then I kind of roll it. So it's almost like a rolled bandage. And I pop it right into my clean, sterile jar, just like that. Now I'm going to fill this up to the 1-inch headspace with some boiled reverse osmosis water. That way there's no minerals in it. It's clean. I don't have to worry about bacteria and chlorine. I would use the water here on the farm, but it has a very high iron content, and all that's going to do is after a while, all the yuck's going to settle to the bottom and it's going to be orange. It's going to be nasty, so I'm going to use good, clean water. We get that here on the farm anyways because we have a fish tank, so we pick up water on occasion to take care of the fish tank because we don't want to put our well water in there. So I'm going to use some of that water. I've already boiled it. I'm going to fill up my jar to the 1-inch headspace, and I'll be right back. So my jar is filled with the reverse osmosis boiled water. It's cooled. I've filled the jar. Now I recommend using a wide mouth jar. That way you're easily able to get in there after you take the lid off and get this washcloth that you're going to be able to use to clean wounds safely and cleanly and with a sterilized product. It's more important than you think. Yes, have your sterilized water on the shelf for drinking water, but you need this as a backup as well. So I've got my 2-piece lid system here, my lid and my ring, fingertip tight, and it's just going to go right in with the chili. Like I said, this Nesco is set it and forget it. I'm going to close the lid. Now for my chili, I have quart size. That's going to be processed for 90 minutes. So I'm going to set it to high. I'm going to put my time at 90 minutes and press start. This is going to bring everything up to temperature. Then you're going to get a signal, and that is when you're going to let everything vent for 10 minutes. Then you're going to set the nozzle here at the top to close, to pressurize. That water is going to process at the same time as that chili, and when it's all done, I'm going to have a wonderful addition to my first aid store here on the farm. Now while this batch is processing and I've got my 3rd jar in there with my clean washcloth, I want to show you that I've done 2 other washcloth in sterile water jars for my first aid kit. We have accidents not all the time here on the farm, but they happen and you have to be ready when they do. So I want to show you that one of these, I don't know which now, one of these was done a month ago, one of these was done 2 weeks ago. They are both crystal clear. The washcloth did not deteriorate at all while it was going through the canning process. I'm keeping the lids on them. You don't have to if you don't want to, but these are going to go in a special place in the pantry, one out in the summer kitchen, and I'm also going to put one out in my husband's workshop, because while my husband and my boys are out working in the workshop, if somebody gets cut, if somebody, knock on wood, let's pray this doesn't happen, somebody loses an appendage in an accident out there, they have access immediately to some clean, sterilized water and a clean rag to put compression on that wound, pick up a severed finger and put it back in place. whatever it is they need to do. Now that may sound drastic, but you have to be prepared because things like this do happen. What about you? What do you have in your first aid supplies? Whether you live in an apartment, a home, or out on an acreage, what do you have that would be of benefit to share with someone else? Did you find this useful? I hope you did. I know that, again, knock on wood, I'm hoping it never happens, but if I find myself in a situation again where somebody needs some immediate first aid care, this time I am prepared to do so. Be sure to share this with your friends who are prepping and making sure that they have a well-planned and plotted out first aid kit for their home. Until I see you again here on the farm, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.